Hello everyone. Yesterday's broadcast from the History Center had no sound, so I am re-recording today. My name is Jackie Garinger McDermott, and we're recording not live from the English Valley's History Center in North English, Iowa, but from my home in Belle Plaine. It's July 27th, 2025. Some of the acquisitions that we worked on Saturday will be shown again next week. This diary was written by my great-great-aunt, Mary Elizabeth Claypool Wade, who was known as Lib Wade. She was 75 years old in June of 1950, and here is a picture of Libby with her great-granddaughter, Barbara Wade. June 16th, 1950. Seems hot this morning. Mrs. Bauer came over to see the primroses. They are so pretty now. She picked a bouquet for me, white primroses and lilies. I don't get out to see them. She gave me some strawberries too. They are from her ever-bearing plants. Minnie Zilmer is getting a room built over the cellar stairs on the north end of the house and some other repairs. A new window in the bathroom upstairs too. Mary Newhouse brought us over some good cream cookies, the kind Mother used to bake. I had dinner over and the dishes washed, and Mary R. came, brought some eggs. 1 dozen, 25 cents. They are such nice ones and always fresh. She goes to Edith's every Friday. Anna Bauer, who lived in the house just south of Lib, was the grandmother of Carol Bauer from North English, and so the great-grandmother of Randy Bauer from the class of 1972 and his brothers. Minnie Zilmer lives across the street with her elderly father, George Patterson, who's right here in this picture. And Minnie is an old friend from when Lib taught at Green Valley, east of town. Lib can easily watch what is going on across the street. Minnie Zilmer was Shirley Baines' grandmother, so the great-grandmother of my friends Kelly Baines, Lonnie Baines, Gary Baines, and their sister Cindy Baines Belland. Mary Newhouse is another neighbor, and Mary R. is Mary Regsager, and she's right here in this picture with a bunch of other Regsagers right there. And she raises chickens in a big garden farther down on East Oak Street. Mary R. is walking to Edith's shop uptown to get her hair done, so she carries Lib's eggs with her. Ruth Bristler stopped about 8 p.m. to tell me about Hattie. She had just come from Iowa City. Hattie was operated on at 9 this morning, was in the operating room for 1.5 hours. After doing what they first expected to do, they gave radium treatment. That is to be left in until Monday. Maud and Jenny and Janet and Alice Van Auken were here in the evening to talk over and hear about Hattie. Someone said she is to lie on her back and not move until Monday. Ruth Newberry Bristler is the sister of Hattie Newberry Killian, Lib's good friend, who has just been operated on for cancer at the University of Iowa Hospital in Iowa City. Maud Foster Claypool is married to Lib's nephew, Ray Claypool. Jenny Wade is Lib's daughter-in-law, the wife of her son Wayne or Perky Wade, and they live a block away on East Clark Street. Jenny's niece, Janet Lawrence, is visiting this summer. Alice Van Auken is another neighbor, and the great-grandmother of my friends Kathy and Lynn and Jim Morrison, and also Carolyn Warner Elwood and her brother Lloyd Warner. Dr. Schulenthaler brought us home some nice strawberries this evening. He had told us some time ago that he would. They are extra large and nice. Russell went to South English this evening about a truck. Dr. A.C. Schulenthaler and his wife Jessie in this picture are neighbors. Dr. Schulenthaler is the local dentist, and they are sharing some of their garden produce. Russell, or Towler Wade, is Lib's youngest son, and she lives in his home with him. June 17th, 1950. Cloudy today and cold. Temperature 35 degrees here about 10 a.m. I lit the oil burner and have had a fire all day. Russell brought home some chicken backs, 8 frozen ones in a package, 49 cents. I boiled them and made noodles. Won't be as good as a fat hen, but I added some butter. Tracy was in a while on her way to town. Dr. Schulenthaler's berries were very nice. We had some for dinner. Tracy Kelly Geringer Wallace was my paternal great-grandmother and Lib's friend from when they lived in the country at Yankee Point, north of town. Tracy now lives down on East Washington Street and drops by when she is walking to town to shop. I made some buttonholes and some dresses for the little girls. Jenny brought them up last night. I think Evelyn made them. Lib was an excellent seamstress who was capable of doing difficult stitches needed to create buttonholes in the little dresses that her married granddaughter Evelyn Kurtz has created for the little great-grandchildren Suzanne and Kathy Kurtz. Received a letter from Anna. They surprised Burl on his 18th birthday, had a swimming party and supper. Lib's daughter, Anna Wade Cray, lives in Texas with her husband, Richard Cray, who's right over there, and their family. Their youngest son, Burl Cray, has just turned 18. Mary, Flossie's sister, and her little girl are visiting Flossie and helping getting her room fixed up. Mary was over here a few minutes, wanted to borrow a hammer, etc. Millard is to go to the hospital again next week for a checkup and perhaps a change in his cast. Mary Claypool Williams is the sister of Flossie West, and she lives in Williamsburg with her husband and their daughter Linda. She and Flossie are both the daughters of Millard and Molly Cheney Claypool, so Lib inquires about their father's health as he is the son of her cousin Wallace Claypool. Flossie and her daughter Barbara West have rented a room in the upstairs of a house owned by the Harris family across the street. Our local friend Trish Montross Blaylock Garrity remembers Flossie and Barbara later when they lived above the bank building on Main Street. Flossie was an operator for the telephone company and allowed the girls to touch the telephone equipment. Trish lived in the stucco house just west of the bank building at that time. She also remembers the time when she and young Barbara might have tried to light up cigarettes and made a burn hole in one of her blouses. Janet was up, and I made the little girls' dresses with her. I sent the little girls' dresses with her. Russell took some library books back. Maud came up to take them and stayed a while. She said Mrs. Bolts is up most of the time. Elizabeth or Lizzie Geiger Bolts is an 87-year-old neighbor who has been very ill but is now making a recovery. Sunday, June 18th, 1950, Father's Day. A terrible electric storm last night. Haven't heard of any damage by lightning, but it sounds like it struck near. Heavy rain, too. It's still cloudy and cold. I lit the oil burner, but found we are short on oil. Harold came up and tipped the barrel so it will run in. Russell and Virgil Hahn went fishing at Lake McBride. Not a very good day. Walters are going to Frida's folks. Harold's are at Wayne's. Lib's grandson, Harold, or Stub Wade, on this side, is Lib's youngest grandson in Iowa, and the son of Wayne or Perky and Jenny Wade. And he came up and tipped the fuel oil barrel to get some to run into the house for the oil burner. The fuel oil barrel was kept in a barrel that laid sideways on a pedestal outside near the location of the stove and ran by a small line in the house to the stove. His brother Walter or Bud Wade is right here, and his wife Frida and their children Claudia and Jimmy are going to Frida's parents' house for Father's Day. Learned later that just Harold was there for a while and then went home. I wrote a long letter to Anna and also wrote to Hattie. Jenny came up in the evening. They had been out riding. Went to see the high water, Amana, Marengo, and all over. She said about 4 inches of rain was registered at Walters on his scale. Belva is not very good. She has a fibroid tumor that must be treated or removed. Arlo Wilkersons have a new baby girl at Marengo Hospital. Dr. Miller was their doctor today. Belva Wade Yass is Lib's oldest granddaughter. She is 30 years old and the mother of Mickey and Cindy Yass and the wife of Don Yass. Arlo Wilkerson, or Edward Arlo Wilkerson, is the son of the Will Wilkersons of North English. We will have a segment soon on the Wilkerson family. The Iowa County Farm Bureau chorus are to be at the Christian church here tonight. Russell got home. They only had one bullhead. Virgil caught it, and I had to clean it. June 19th, 1950. Still cloudy and cold. Al Smith brought us some fuel oil. Fuel oil, 20 gallon, 13.7 cents per gallon. Millie stopped in. I sent the fish to Mrs. Bolt's by her. She didn't know whether she should have it or not, but took it anyway. I don't think it will hurt her. Russell was sick this morning, stomach trouble again. He took the washing over to Lila and my letters to mail. Millie Swope Knipfer is a neighbor, the grandmother of Stanley, Glenn, and Ross Knipfer from North English, and Doris Brock from South English, among others. Lila Cobb, who is right here in this picture, is the mother of grandson-in-law Glenn Cobb, and is now doing laundry for Russell and Lib because Lib is no longer able to do this task. Neva Morse called. Leona was down to see Hattie yesterday. She felt pretty blue and cried. She said she may have to stay there 6 weeks. Neva is helping with their berries, etc., and her own work too, so she is pretty busy. Pears are ready to pick. I wish I had some. Neva Morse is a neighbor and the mother of Leona Morse Bursler, who went to see her husband's aunt, Hattie Newberry Killian, who is hospitalized with a cancer diagnosis and is having a rough time. And here is a picture of Leona Morse Bursler. She was my mom's classmate and best friend. Lena came. She had been down to her mother's. Ruth McCarter was picking berries. She told us some trouble at the creamery yesterday. Leighton was in on it for one. Lena Wallace Wade is the wife of Lib's second son, Warren or Mike Wade. Her mother, Stella Markwell Wallace, is a widow now. Ruth McCarter, 25 years old, is a young married woman from town. And Leighton, that they're talking about, is right here in this picture, and it's Lib's nephew, Leighton or Happy Claypool. Alice Van Auken came a while. She had been down to her. Russell came home for dinner, but didn't eat much. He looked feverish. I wonder if he could be taking chicken pox or something. I'm trying to make a rose pot holder like Melva's. Lib is trying to crochet a pot holder with a rose like she has seen her newest granddaughter-in-law, Melva, create. Melva is the the wife of grandson Harold. Stella is visiting Bon Campbell's at Mount Vernon. Flossie and Mary went away. Took several boxes, etc. Maybe going out to Millard's. Received a card from Hattie. She broke her glasses. Flossie Claypool West lives across the street where Lib can see her coming and going. She noticed that Flossie and her sister Mary Claypool Williams, the daughters of Millard and Molly Claypool, have gone somewhere. June 20th, 1950, cloudy and cold. Warmer predicted for today. Russell is feeling better, but not very good yet. I have been crocheting a little. Made another rose for a pot holder. I was quite surprised Hattie called me. She came home last night. Is to go back in 3 months. She is to go to Amana this PM to get her eyes tested. Broke her glasses while she was in the hospital. Russell is to go to Victor tonight to take Mildred and Neva Stover. Russell and his longtime girlfriend, Mildred Rees, are in the county chorus and go different places to practice. Maud was here a while this PM. Roy and Gail took Marion to Rochester today. She has such bad headaches. Roy and Gail Claypool are right here in the picture, and their oldest daughter Marion is there. Roy is Lib's nephew, and he and his wife have taken their oldest girl, Marion, to the hospital in Rochester, Minnesota. Mary and Flossie and the girls came back today. Mrs. Slade at South English is very ill. Had a stroke on Sunday. She is Mrs. Lawler's sister. Amy and Elroy have some new furniture. A davenport and chair and a kitchen set and chairs. Amy Claypool Hervey is Maud's daughter, and so she is Lib's great niece, and her husband is Elroy Hervey. Some girls went by that I didn't know. Mary Ann said they are Maxine Baugh Durst's girls. I knew them when they were little. Nice-looking girls, 14 or 15 years old perhaps. These two girls would be the grandchildren of Lucille and Vic Van Dyke, Lib's neighbor at the far east end of Oak Street, and cousins to my faithful listeners Jim Van Dyke from South English and Vicki Orndorff Johnson from California. Their names were Joe and Nancy Durst. That's the end of the diary portion. Now we'll go on to some other things. I ran into Janet Cobb Woodhouse Friday at the Lincoln Cafe in Belle Plaine. She recognized me from my podcasts. She was on a lunch excursion with friends. She will be sending me some snapshots from my broadcast. She told me that her father, Milo Cobb, who was married to Nellie Van D. Cobb, farmed together with Lib's grandson-in-law, Glenn Cobb. She has a picture of herself, Janet Cobb, and Janet Lawrence together that she will be looking for to send me. Janet Lawrence, who was Hazel Cobb's cousin, was visiting in North English during the summer of 1950, as we have learned in the diaries. Janet Cobb also remembered that her grandma, Lila Cobb, did laundry for Lib and Russell, as well as the Bob Castile family. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes to keep the History Center operating. This includes cataloging of sessions, creating displays, coordinating and preparing for monthly programs, responding to requests for family and community histories, keeping up with social media, finances, cleaning, maintenance, and providing treats for programs. There's a whole lot more activity that supports the center operations and is largely contributed through the time and effort by the board of directors and volunteers. The History Center board is composed of Dave Jackson, president, Scott Romine, vice president, Bonnie Romine, secretary, Don Banning, treasurer, and Carolyn Elwood, and Shelley Gerard, and Alan Ackerman, and Dan Best, directors. Please send donations to the English Valley's History Center, P.O. Box 70, North English, Iowa 52316. Correspondence. Darlene Lown Vercondi said, I enjoy hearing people's stories of the Creamy Picnic. I grew up on Cherokee Hill, which was very close to the park where the picnic was held. There was always so much anticipation and excitement. It was fun going on all the rides. Marcia Wade Vincent said, remembering you staying up all night, duster dogs, 'cause I was there. Great meeting place on Main Street every parade. Wonderful times for me. Mark Claypool said, Jackie, another week of such wonderful memories. One name in particular was Ivan Long. In later years, he lived in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, a suburb of Denver, and he ran and owned Long's Limb Shop. He would go to Stapleton Airport during the Vietnam War and fit soldiers for limbs that they had lost in battle. He was such a nice gentleman, and I lived not far from his house on Tabor Street. Thank you for that information, Mark. Ivan Long's niece, Mary Wade, the daughter of Marion Long Wade and Francis Wade, is one of my faithful listeners. Alice Floring Stramer said, organized and at ease, you teach us history each week. A thank you to you, Jackie, and also to the people behind the scenes who help make this such a sought-out viewing and learning time. You have found your calling in life and share it with many. Bless you. I also heard from Wendy Sauter this week. She said she would be coming down soon with a collection of North English memorabilia or swag to donate to the History Center. I was glad to meet Bunny Pfeiffer from Harper at the History Center last week. Her brother Mick Wade told her about my broadcast, so she has been listening. Their Wade family is having a reunion in August and will be visiting the History Center in Hinkletown. Bunny is the granddaughter of Alexis or Lek Wade and his wife Edith Chapman Wade. Lek Wade was Libby Wade's brother-in-law, the brother of her husband Bert Wade. Bunny's dad was Dean Wade, and she remembers him coming to their house because Russell was a cousin to Dean Wade. And Russell came and visited her house in the 1960s driving a convertible. Likely it was this same convertible that his great-nephew Mick Yoss drove with Russell's great-nieces Claudia Wade and Kathy Kurtz in the North English Parade. We also received great feedback on the bank robber story. Our friends at the Keokuk County Historical Society said, Good history and good work. Mark Claypool said, "What an incredible story of long ago. I had no idea this even happened back then." Vicki Orndorff Johnson, Melody Bauslag, Barb Best Wright, and Alice Stramer commented that the story was very interesting. Suzanne Claypool said, "Wow, I never knew anything about this. Very interesting. Now can you solve the murder of George Harvey?" More on that subject at a later date. Trish Montross Blaylock Garrity said, "I knew my Uncle Bob, or Robert Leroy Plank, wrote down the license plate as he lived where the present post office was built, but I do not recall hearing he also went to Illinois, which was to try to identify the bank robbers. Very interesting broadcast. You and Dave make a good team. Enjoy all your telecasts. I know lots of people growing up from North English, but I sure did not know so many are related." Susie Allison Lumberg said, "Very exciting and interesting. Well done, Jackie, Dave, and Sharon. And a huge shout out to you, Sharon, for owning this chapter of your family history and stopping by and sharing it with us. It was a pleasure to meet you and your family today." I agree. It really was a pleasure to meet the bank robbers' family. Marcia Wade Vinson shared memories of her taking care of Opal Wymore Mason and her sister Marie Cassidy in their later years at the English Valley Care Center. Both women worked at the bank in 1938. And we're going to have much more about the alumni reunion yesterday at the History Center on next week's broadcast. We are also interested in learning about historical English Valley items that you might wish to donate to the History Center. Please contact Dave Jackson, Scott Romine, or any board member to donate. Goodbye.